Test, test, test. 1 2 1 2. Test. Test, 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 test. Testing.
Yeah, from mat to light to dawn's first flight, I learned to set the pace. Soft on my skin, hope in my chest, I turn fear into grace. They call this small island, small voice, I carved out my place. Every tide taught rhythm, every storm taught me faith. Now I walk like a promise, crown heavy with sunlight and brave.
I miss Marshall Islands, I rise when the waves call my name. I carry every story, every heartbeat, fuel to my flame. Stand tall, claim tomorrow, we move, we shine. Not just play the game.
Built from coconut wood, encourage, I hustle, I lead. Hands in the sand, eyes on the map, planting hope like a seed. Bridges over bloom, Kim by my side, we sprint with good speed. When doors said no, I said watch. My answer became greed, from harbor to halls of power. We redraw what they say we can be.
Light up the archipelago, spark every distant dream. Pass the torch, feel the warmth, stronger than it may seem. No tide too high, no night too long. We steer our own stream.
Miss Marshall Islands,
Not just a voice.
bird movement, ain't ski.
I miss Marshall Islands, I rise when the waves call my name. I carry every story, every heartbeat, fuel to my flame. Stand tall, claim tomorrow, we light up a map. Change the
Ho, 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 ho!
Hey! Hey! We step to the line with the ocean in our name. Flag on my chest, republic pride. Playing no game, heartbeat like drums. Wrong way, turn the racetrack. Dignity and respect, and get ready at our back. Pride in our shoulders, island light in our stairs. Miss Marshall Islands, we run with the light. Represent the island, stand tall. Take the stride, sisterhood tight. Leaders born in the tide. We pledge to serve. Keep our culture alive. Playbook of ancestors, wisdom in every play. Pass the torch to tomorrow, lead the team every day. From atoll to atoll, we answer every call. Service in our footsteps, honoring how we walk tall. We build, we teach, we rise. Community first, we won't fall. This is our house, spoken loud with strength and with grace. Ambassadors of home, we carry heart, we carry place. Personal growth and sisterhood, leadership and light. Honoring the past as we push our future bright. Miss Marshall Islands, we run with the light. Represent the island, stand tall. Claim the height, sisterhood tight. Leaders born in the tide. We pledge to serve. Keep our culture alive. Miss Marshall Islands, we run with the light. Represent the island, stand tall. Claim the height, sisterhood tight.
Ya Ghalib, good morning. Chuan Rana Ibu Yuit, Yeminin Aur, Pajan Kamulo. Kilay Road, Imalawan Pri, Majid Kukutogi Raini. Kila ole biro Jimle Rojero Islankin, Chairman, Cup Vice Chairman and Council of Europe, Kabale Bro, one Moyomoni Road. Kile, Her Excellency, President Dr. Hilda C. Heine, First Gentleman Thomas Kitchener Jr., Cabinet Ministers Emro Karajarai, Speaker Branson Wasi, Vice Speaker, Cup members run Parliament, Emro Karajarai. Killer Gagi Engineer, Berijin Per, Chen Salvation Army, Captain Daisy Ryer, all of Brudal, Rugagi Roarilo, Kabungo, Kachujo Island Game, Palagan Island Game, Kapligan Island Game, Emro Karajare. Kilebrainot Chief Justice, Carl Ingram, Cup members Royal Judiciary Branch, Diplomatic Corps, Commissioner Row, All Service, Public Service Commissioner, Chief Secretary Kino Kabua, Cup Olive Row 1 Kien. Kile Olive local government, Mayor, Cup local council of Kajuju, Ibalagan Island Gain, Alapdada, local council of Mayor, Island Gomer, Pokonai Rilo, Marshall Islands Pageant 2026. Kile private sector, NGO, Alapdada Ro, Ragalio Payer, and Chibang, Pageant. Juan Kile Janolak, Honorable Minister Tony Muller, OCIT Board, CEO, Francis Carlos Dominic, Emro Terjarwalin, and Pageant. Emngan lejagan dengan rain, Emre unin kuba to gina rainin, kami di goair, Emngan kajujo, ilo ijin paraino romero kuba to ilo life, Imalu imejado, Yahweh, Iberilo ao, kaude and kajujo. Adain Tastin Ayaram Langirik, Chuyua Ichirik. Alban Udet, Burupe Inami Rio Major Raining. Ilo platform presentation in an Miss Marshall Islands Pageant 2026. Parjuan Allen, Ilo Edan Rayo Natural Resources and Commerce, Office of Commerce, Investment and Tourism, Karaino Grane, Akio, Kap Miss Marshall Islands Pageant Organizing Committee, Kumkano Irwani. Willabelevo Ani Yeni, and all that Chalai Malay. Chibuguntok Jonia Rano, Rainin, and Legislating Rain, Miss Marshall Islands 2026, wherein 1 month in Wallingakan platform wire, Chivarbarim Katabar wire, Palok Kobayar ngan kejuit. Ilan cuan contestant net relontok ilo Miss Marshall Islands Pageant raja guj kalat platform wire ak cibarbarem katta wire. Pada moda janare 1 mile odulo yeni. May I invite Captain Daisy Ryer from Salvation Army to lead us in opening prayer.
Kumol kap yako yang oleh. Mota jena itu kan, foto jaran kapalakan ini, kanan pekciri gini nuparai nuat. Ko bala kulo nanin, kelihap kau teh juga, kan ke jumar, elap tatangan romer dian kelirum kau teh jenot kene, yang mana tu? Yang jenis wan malah kau tam jar, jar. Amani yo teh jumlap, kami kamul liu. Kami kamulelo kan chon ran em jampar karidilak kami lohan. Yalap tatak lo yeni ni ram ko bata ko lo yeni na urangan mit majal renam ak nejim kap jem kap jatum lo yeni na urangan yerngan rongo jake kono no choir jan kacho yo ay lang ko representi patabi ro jeno chona mani jo chinon kap chamlagan jen ko am nim payena man minutem chết nim malak minutem chết kami kele kum kacho de ko pam ro pokon chojum kabalak yenin imbalap tata kacaraman yenin kacaraman kacho jo Cirong rain nak leje kan rain pokona relo ciponin rainin im kami odem cek kami ni rong jaga im kam rome kami capoder lo pejeninan 2026 parcolan ni rod kami jilikut im car pokon cinon kan kami lo yeni ni lo ciponin rainin ilam kaude jo lewat alben magatu kap kanono wan rainin parencen an kelam and then kami car Lord and Him Christ what komol amen.
Thank you, Captain Daisy, for the opening prayer. Ilodarin, it is now my honor to invite our next speaker. She is a leader deeply rooted in culture, service, and community. Mrs. Brenda Halik Aini, Secretary of Culture and Internal Affairs, President of Women United Together Marshall Islands, member of the Magic Club, and OCID board member. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Brenda Halik Aini.
Jawai nga na wala luchipunin rainin. Kamulol chamerilang kanchuan raneman. Kle rurien kaude ko bala ko pen rio me jalayo tasting lang hirik chipunin rainin. Kle wala rure roari lo kabung ilo kien kaun jalabi road. Elap tada Excellency President Ildasi Hainim Cabinet One and on the higher program inim kajanga yudun kamanilo chipunin rainin. Mikanan Lela cuan perkelelap tata ngan lejegan ngan rain ciponin rainin. Yo meche judok ngan artan rong jagai oleben melele urik putok. Kele cai rain rar pokon air rar meneren itu kan volunteer. Imi to kun cino carbali na elu ciponin rainin. Kanan kau tu koma yang oleb. Ikanan berkamulul kio kerin orane kaner kar keleyo puin merungan tan pokon air. Ilo ciponin rainin eno cuan yan karero mere charbal iper yigi chenche yan proyekoan kien iman United Together Marshall Island Wudumi im kararo chan mata ilo mejerik imeno chonu siya report eo me par represent charbal gainan tourism im investment ilo island kainar kumayon guna mul kioran kan chuan opportunity ngana tan chuda man ipelle de reinim kanono cherik pokona lu yini na uranganir ilogar chon terai ga char podok Miss Marshall Island program ilogar 2019 o chabar chon charbalo ibiruro a charbali ni matan katabargoan tourism video we jen pagchedleri ro neyir waran ambassador ngana ilang kinar im kanono gan kieninar kanono gan lalinar im kanono gan issue go mer rajalat kayo armayin mayal imingin ciyo tukun roya kay ilo platform kay nair cipunin rainin. Cuan ero me echapiruro ngan kien ak ayloy pwede mo me akar pweden langay lak nur an leruro nejiri lo ailing kinar ngan chat level ko meron become leaders im edalangan niyo ko chatem kanono kan ailing kinar imisu kinar. Cuanin katabar angar Miss Marshall Island program unin angar chudak. Imangan kumayang liriran, cuani nero, Yan yang kumayang alap tada yung may pagcamala ko ilo running charity. Patabi mo yang relang lo programin kumayang yang bezer ruda lang an kacujo ay lang ko kami yang. Chunin level yan yung langay kumayang yang chongano kumayang at peri inne. Yung kumayang na pelawat tayo talaga na yung royo. Yung mga irajang kumayang mo kumayang lukun kaja berok tayo talaga na yung menochel lirgin majaro mer curage ay lang kinar. Ilang isu ko lukun celat kaya yang ilo pelagan majalin ikijen karero nir karero chinir karero chagir. Kaya yang lead dengan teen pregnancy kain kayon lo Pacific Islands. Suwani issue kumayang na cibang kien cara balik pun karigalaw ng pagin im kaya yang menjajagagi im recapaman. Kan teen pregnancy yan liriro nir air lang nir wala ririk. Kaya yang lead dengan tangal im NTC all NTC ko cara merecapaman merejalaga kain cap kaya murkej im cecap murulo cara barkuar kan ngailar pengnangan mi cecap erregalak acene nangan mi jalawat jadi ini isuan perkara karain lalinareng im kumane par pugi pemiyang eno muyimiyang ilo amiyang ne cedilo carbalgain ya par ced lengwan malak im jadi loy eno lergen sports lergen paddling ro me rayangan karagar coni nareng mega yukuri im nareng podok im muyer rainin kumane par cibang yer kalabalak waya winning ceberi ngan regional sport ko cerbaran para talangane lergen basketball lergen volleyball cibang bal lari ro nijir menga kayang lergen Miss Marshall Island akayang ko bay do lari ro nijir ilo har par cibang yer kan katabar ko wire im cedgin waya winning kan anra jang kayang ilo cupon rainin tourism rainin ejigi pejon program wan pejen ko kacho ilo Pacific Islandin leri ro re cura kai leng kwai re yudo da yang cigin ngan cigin im kalabalak kanono kan lal ko kai kacho yu gi chen tourism ano ga tourism in investment in matan kigo ngan chuan lal pene re kala ko murur im yang in kaya ngai ko bala ki pen OCIT im company charbali na uruk im ganan kamolo CEO Francis Carlos Tomine malven stabian kaner kadir yelo air kabar company programin kain kajelulo yoin menga warabang ko jalui pecer local government ko recab loy aurugin an wawinin akchonin wawin eyangan kalamalak emman leongan kumlerigeran kaminudu ko kami imlalina laptada imigana electada iganan kamolo local government ko mi rechuda kagakum merom councilro im leadership ro mi royero ami laptada kanair tamak kan programin im cari cino ciluyo emogalak nan gain electada iganan kajaraman kumayang ilo amiyang ne chuda im kanono kan issue ko amiyang platform ko mi jami pugi im programin am jan lewaj komun pugi pen muyemi tuani level ilo lang lagun mo na amiyang kumayang ne melelegan issue wala linar im relat kay nan gain rerot kum kanu ina molim caraman ngan kumayang lirgeran moltada.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary, for your inspiring words and continued leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move into the heart of today's program. Each contestant will present her platform, which carries 20% of her overall score. In this segment, the judges will be looking at these following areas or criteria. Firstly, elegance and poise. Then, eloquence and articulation. Followed by knowledge and depth of the platform. Then, ability to command audience attention. Lastly, clarity, confidence, and presence. Contestants may present in either Marshallese or English, or whichever language they are most comfortable with. A judging guide, including rubrics and reference materials, has been provided to all participants for guidance and clarity. Today is not just about presentation. It is about purpose, passion, and perspective. We are honored today to present our distinguished panel of judges here in front. If I may introduce judge number 1, Carmina Alik. Rooted in her Marshallese heritage, Carmina Alik brings a lifelong commitment to service to the judging panel. Her pageant journey began at age 17, when she earned first runner-up in the Miss Northern Mariana Highlands pageant, an experience that her appreciation for confidence an experience that shaped her appreciation for confidence, purpose, and representation. She has since served the RMI nuclear affected population as a medical referral coordinator under the 177 Health program, and later worked directly with the DOE patients exposed to radiation fallout. Carmina went on to establish her own interpreting and translation agency, bridging language barriers in legal and medical settings across Hawaii and the Pacific Northwest. Today, she manages the Kara Fund, which is a ROC Taiwan funded microfinance initiative empowering Marshallese women through business training and economic opportunity. Alongside her family, she continues to champion healthcare, education, and opportunity for the Marshallese diaspora. Please welcome, let's welcome Judge Carmina Alik. Judge number 2, Mr. Herbilan Mandira. Mr. Herbilan Mandira is the Director of Public Relations for the RMI Public School System. Since joining PSS in 2018 and assuming his current role in 2026, he has led communication and innovation across the education sector. He holds a BA in Communication Studies from the University of Hawaii at Hilo and a Pacific Islands Leadership Program certificate. He is passionate about community storytelling, strategic communication, and youth inspiration. He resides in Wajah, Majuro, with his family. Chamarong welcome Judge Herbilan Mandira. Judge number 3, Jasmine Loyak Miaswe. Jasmine is an attorney and entrepreneur, a community advocate representing Ralik and Ratagan. She is the founder of Lazy J's LLC, including Lazy J's Cafe and the law offices of B.A. Lawyer. She currently serves as Sustainability Director for Pacific Island Tuna Provisions and as President of the Marshall Islands Chamber of Commerce. She is also actively engaged in women's health initiatives and community empowerment programs. Jasmine is passionate about leadership, culture, and empowering Marshallese women. Jamarongo welcome Jasmine Loya Miaswe. Daldagot, Judge number 4, Mr. Nudan Langirik. Born and raised on Majuro Atoll, Nudan Langirik is a lifelong educator and technologist. He holds degrees from the College of the Marshall Islands, the University of Guam, and the University of Hawaii. He currently serves as Director of ICT at the public school system, the Ministry of Education, Sports, and Training. He is committed to expanding educational access through technology and innovation. Chemarongo welcome at Church, Nudan Wangiri. Last but not least, Judge number 5, Josepha Madison. Josepha Madison is a recently retired public servant with a distinguished career in the government of the Republic of the Marshall Islands. Through her service, she has held several key roles, including Coordinator for Women Affairs, Manager for the Convention of Rights of the Child, Assistant Archaeologist with the Historic Preservation Office, Chief of the Marshall Islands Local Government Office, and Chairperson of the Customary Law and Language Commission. Across these roles, her work has taken her to all the atolls of the Marshall Islands, where she deepened her understanding of the people, their stories, and the richness of our culture. In her retirement, she continues to contribute through interpretation, translation, and the editing of documents of various organizations. Chemarongo welcome the Judge Josepha Madison. Erane, right? Chajarwar. Itu walal tahu itu program ini ada ngan platform presentations. Each contestant will be called to the stage individually. Before each presentation, an introductory video from their official photo shoot will be shown on the screen. And after each presentation, judges will proceed with their questions. Without further ado, Chemarongo Kile, Lejaganagane wajan Isling Kile, Bigini Ajij. Contestant number 1, Alice Ward.
Baby Me Ward, ngay Miss KBE 2026. Elan chuya ay magaulit, platformin ngay chuda kage ay kan nuclear legacy. Kanam lab platformin, yung kanam lab topicin, ngay podok jidu point ako ilo topicin. Number 1, healthcare. Number 2, displacement. In number 2, climate change. Como taba ay moriwa. Yagoy alip elan Alice Baby Me Ward, ngay Miss KBE. Yagoy alip mogatata kamolo lani kan meuri majmeur kle roy jimle rojro ay railengkain ragay roy jemer ilo iglesia koar kachojo karayo chine nailengkain Her Excellency Dr. Ilda Siaine imro eo karajaran rotero kachojo ilo kieneo an ailengkain Miss ailengkain im John special kale ngan Mrs. Re jay im chapu talaba uday ilo aljuda ki jini man en wat John ni jini mchiwen ailengan pegani John yan ailen ko arlap kabel im mana diper chale pewe na to ko air rai bojoj patap kapromonoj ikatan John taujen radam yon pugui engo chijino im John taujen radam yon pugui lemol ralidak America ar kokkamelmel chijino ko jimi John nuclear im hydrogen bomb ilo ailen chirikain im armijin pegani im ailen kochet rarpojer peren amagat jen kabijuganen ko air ijo ko chibuyer im chimayer ragar meur wat jen menogaru in teren mejer im purijin labren per rech meur in jojo wer kokamele melin pam ko rar kamagat kem jen kabijunen ko am im kuya ugotakin meja toto ebiojakin nat kamagat kem jen dalina. Rainin ailing kainar rajmatan lalgo iman tata raj jalomai ugotakin meja toto. Yalla bele ko rajino kami jakai ilo air teren ailing kain imelang rajpa kay pakai kain ramarong kaje rere reidi jen ilo medogain. Edukun dang pamilya ko rajalamay nangan mi ainwat cancer, thyroid disease, e palang ajiri ro rajladak tok agrajibo kag ime walang. Nangan mi ko ilo kameli e jino chaleter ak abang alak jibarak jin tata ko rawat. Icap ciuta kijin ngan dajara kay coren kainar. Icuta kijin ilo akui impojak in pagi jo konal. Chijay gui kakajorla healthcare services ko support cancer screening in mental health program ko. Kajabarok im kamerur kabel im manat koar. Kajabarok pala koar im katakan ro rikatagar kan scientific akjoran ko rajalat kaj. Ang ini juga ni nakar kayalet by field of study wal oncology. Pain pag ijo konal. Ich parainwat ker nganale bremandred in island kain pachen lale field of studies go island kain ar ayuji. Keme me jboy kinijin ewan myo kan kanono. Action ayuj pagjigan. Itamak kay judawan arame jin majalit kajorwat. Kuya etareo anebebe ninar. Jen ipen ron jen erroi ayuj go ilo ejimeur ilo chimwe imelo peran im kajor. Comemor.
Mga tatay, iyaw kayo. Kupal ko lo, awan kuliam, kau tayo ko anim siyo. Kamual kan cuan presentation naman. Kacita kayo, cunun tata. Ayo walo kayo din. The nuclear testing that took place in the Marshall Islands is not just history. For many families, it is deeply personal. Can you share how the nuclear legacy has touched your life or the lives of the people you know, and why that drives you to advocate for this cause?
Komol kan kacita na melu kan amman. Imarong pepe na daw kan John experience yo. Elo kan kabaro mo. Ilo me real. Chalo per. Ino John is interviewing me. Antiyo. Arjago la kan cancer. Akta ka tarachalo. Ito ka yar cancer. John your experience adli ko ni got. My personality, when I know, when I know Aramid, when I how I see others and view others. It's John experience when I'll get on oncology in what John field of study. When jibang research, im koda Aramid in Pugani. Well, when love na and me, you can Aramid in Pugani. Actor the Rajaje, ito kay. Imangin wani na karkanan pag field of oncology ilo study kaya pag kan experience imaw loan armejin pagani chakolak kan nangan mi gor jaje to kaya common
Yeah, okay.
yeah
Kumolagan uwaga ba naman. Parchuan kachidat, ewi wawin, amnet kajarawale, jugujugun perewam, kap menin cibango kajojo, nganam kalabalak pelagan cibalbaran katabarinam.
Kumol chalak per komero ke repeat question.
Marambar kajan beleki. What resources or community partnerships do you plan to utilize to expand the reach of your cause?
Kumol kan kacita gina milu ko naman. Ilaw kar kaman research. Im talangan obi, im kajit repair. Kan cibangan platformin. Im pewen ato repair. Elang pujen obi rekanan ke nuclear legacy. John obi jigai is NNC, National Nuclear Commission ngai jumayau pa. Rar pewen ato ipa ikichen na nuclear legacy. John obi jigo imarong utilize ngan cibang kat tabarina. John por obi jigo wudumi yar pewen ato iper rar kwalak John scholarship or John cibang cemarong kajarawale ikichen ak jawab per cemarong kodak aramejro imana tuar enodahan pajaka jin chakolak paginan kale KBE pajaka jatanin pajaka an chakolak kene kay aramejro chap rajaji kampane yebin cemarong kajarawalo cibang kain im ka parkabalak jonowi ekal nang mogata age par chakolak im John yang kata bergol yarkanan par pengalak nengalak pen par pelak im marong cara bali pen kien im cija tiper im dukun pewen atau iper im cara bali per in koda karmijin pegani komol kan kacil tegina.
Komol dada Miss KP. Sekarang lapor John Kabu. Ilo terrain jamarong okile do contestant number 2. Mich Ebonato. Miss Kano Polos.
Alep, modata claim college ani jemerujilan. Edain kano polin palat, cuyo agajrao, imi chuda kilo dana iringin abeon. Cibaram kata berau ilo pajini, ejwawi naroi kajbaro kajinina. Kunina agar kelet cibaram kata beri, ejangan kaceo kagemi mit kajoi, kajininar auruk, kene kajmatan ot manidinar, imi jar cholet jen bertoroar. Pemotada. Nyawa ya. Yun jalai mato imrebit manade uyeni. Yago kumoy kachoyo. Edain kano Miss Sabion choyo ajrao im cibarbar im katabarina ilo pajini ejwayo naro kajbaro kajininar ag Marshallese language preservation. Mukdada janawan malagot dengan claim kau de jani cemerilang. Nan kau de ro lien kau de ilo manat kabung kapkien. Kau de jajarinar ilo yenin dejano rin mata im kajoj kajojo. Yar kanan penglengtak unin kenonoin kan ngai chone mantatan imit tanak imarong kaman chetwa jangoko ngan chore ro mata in kan kilen akaja barok kajininar ilo akajar bale ilo wawin cherbal wa eno cheje akkanono rainin erigan ajari in chore ro elo wa kan kajininar chen kajine ochon lalinare kilege Ikile in which one national language akajin pelle. Ijab kabar menin kan gay jala gay jemur akarangan ebe benin jej peri rainin. Ogodak lag wayoin meur jenjen ko apto. Pada unina na uruk pejen jala kajinar kan gay kwal wen ke im jej jabar jenya. imalange jay kajole ena jiragun gun langanan jago ikine yum kamolol terguan kacojo corgo rolap ilo ailing keinar eno diro joroar kieneo yum kacojo armi ewar kabelgo iper yum ragar jibang kajabarok kajininar yum jejelo raini cet tabarako yimarong kalajarak eno cet wancong Bible awar teganya nerewar language policy on Halili Museum wamim pochat ijogoy rainin jajalawan ajari ro nejir jaje kajin majal jagoran ngai ricuju mamana ilo majalin kajida goin kia etagay im etana kwain pejene jaga cet pungudan ko im pakajolak pungudan ko yam jat chino kamani ilo wawi narwit kajabarok kajininar kajine war ejamin chago elang ngicho yana rijo mugoj im kajabaroy ilo arwit kadagin ron ken kajin majal kumotara
Kumuntada misebon, isigid nga niya bon, eman malilewang. Ilo halaben wawin gain me emyam kalajar agigirit, peranganar kakajolok kajininar, ak yagabre majano. Kujiga kile ta manyanogin rit kaman buin pinar wan malak kan kajininar, em tau uwa tayo ngayon mit imtiago.
Kumorgan kacirin halbana man. Ilo yin research awang igicen tabigin yim elengo bijogo yar kanonu per. Yim yar logo main point now it kajinewar irgar Tibel cukulo, peren kadang najiro, kan kajininar. Yung matan menogorek, contribute dengan isuin, yang cawe resource, akin carabalo, rek kajarabal kajin majal. Miangay ilang areng language policy, akagian, image kami lagi cukulo, public school ko rajay kujin kadang najiro najir. Kajin majal, elak cawe resource kain cara balagain, rekia kajarwal material ko kain cara balagom mereka kajarwal kajin beli. Im kia, joinin kagian elaban emman, aga elak cawe resource im kain cara balagain, iringan ajar ki ron jir kada kajin majal, im joinin wancong, kain tayo with contribute dengan issue yung uwa tayo ikicenan rigalak kajininar elang ngay cid kajabarok kajininar cid kajabarok mani dinar imelang ngay cid kajabarok mani dinar cid kajabarok ailang kain Ilungan dengan ajiri ro elewa takken kajinin jabarong bari irgai elewa takken manat im manat ekdu buj all ben ko pindir me aro jor majal ko ba ailing kain imarong wancang ken jujugum perewelo overseas eno chone war rutola gelo awai Pwilo aga rutuang lo away. Ijala aga ilugo na orok kajin pelli. Ilongan ergalak pablo jina areng lo. Dikin majalin. Erik calayo gicen manadum kajin. Kia cipikot majalanan aram jerin. Ruwa jalak. Pwilo ay ruwa jalak. Ramarong chino malagalak kajini manat. Ramarong lamana ke cebawarok berun rotong anailing ke bachen kalam yang lagi janaya. Cunin wada. Ngan kejara ini nang langai na jago kajini war. Motala.
Kumol, Miss Ebon, ko naman huwagawa. Kajin palegi, kajin palle. How would you adapt your platform's message to connect with different age groups and demographics?
Ada man kacibagin, mencola kapur, kamerongga kemelelek nanin adapt, ilo kajin majal. Cola kapur, ilo kau deh.
Adapt kay ini jawa wenam karat jibar barum kataban nayam wen marong jibang jari gede rolo kacuyo age group im ingai jari gede rolo me ejabedang different age groups in community gahinar.
Aman, kumul kan kacibagin, elvan aman. Wayuna ni adapt messagina. Wen marong tabar kacuyo haramit. Ilo arwaj melalaga ino kot kain haramit. Panen ngan ajariro. Cebarong cino ilo cukup kalau panen remarong kadak modagan alfabetum nan gin jalai agar ini biro air jalai in malayale ngan ke ruman red panen jajai wid pokonarim dukun kebuj mana tayo kajineo panen lawalak jalai iper ngan doktorong jalai agar jalai Ocongan anak kajininar. Ilo ke raja bar pokon air, ilo wawin ilo air kebelajar iro, tiwirin jijir, perin kajar kajini. Ijo ke ilo air kenonogen adapt, pelen join the message. Ibinaw ni adapt dengan kacuyo haram jaroin. Kena kay messaging yakar boy ada berencana. Ni jabar LG inot agar paham ko talak. Yang ngay koi kajabarok kajinewa nem konai kajabarok mana. Imalangay ko ikajabarong mana tayo, kung ikajabarong ailing kain. Umutada.
Umutada, Miss Ebon. Pangalawa John Kapubangan, Miss Ebon. If I may introduce contestant number 3, Jasara Pedro Miss Namrik Ato to the podium.
Yo Alem, Evan Zara Pedro, Evan Joyan Jina Ruwajanan, Evan Joyan Jema Erubra. Katabri Nailua Kobo the Gilu Paginian, a young Podong Nanning Gabriel, Impobora and Joriguro, Kajarobot Bunogora Gajo. When in a kere de Katabarin, Senegal Naurek, Ejamero and Joriguro, Nigir, Rora Giliu, him Jagalayo and Island Kina. Ya koy alep kilian mong tata kunjung raneo elawan ay boyoy. Por kilim kaude kachojo jajerain Elaine Zara Pedro, year Ms. Namurik 2026. Yimenoda karpailo introduction video el kataberial iloa ko badog ngan paginin ejangan podong nan ing kabilikaliak yung pobaray an choruguro kajarabaluno gora gajor. Yimilo Kajin Pele Rajaba, substance misuse within the youth. As I begin, allow me to paint a picture for you all. Imagine a generation full of potential, creativity, and ambition. A generation told they are the future, yet often left to navigate today's challenges on their own. A generation facing pressures unlike any before from social media, identity, and mental health struggles. This generation that I speak of is that of my own, the youth. As a Marshallese youth and someone who belongs to our Marshallese diaspora, I have witnessed these challenges both at home and abroad. I've seen peers searching for belonging, struggling in silence, and sometimes turning to substances not because they want to destroy their future, but because they don't know where else to turn. I realized that if I wanted to be a part of the solution, I first had to listen. Over the past several weeks, I had the privilege of meeting with physicians, mental health professionals, the National Security Office, Police Commissioner, Youth to Youth, and Joe Jigum. Although each organization approaches this issue from a different perspective, they all shared one common message. Substance misuse is not simply a drug problem. It is a community issue. Our 2024 Rapid Youth Health Survey revealed that 42.7% of high school students reported using e-cigarettes or vapes, making vaping the most commonly used substance among our youth. 27.8% reported chewing bironet, 21.2% smoked cigarettes, and 14.9% reported marijuana use. At the same time, 38% of students reported feeling so sad or hopeless that they stopped their usual activities, and 1 in 5 seriously considered committing suicide. These numbers tell us something important. Substance misuse does not exist in isolation. It is deeply connected to mental health, family support, education, opportunity, and the communities we build around our youth. So how do we move forward? My vision is an EJAC Island Prevention Circles. Yung charabalyo an rolulin is an kago by tagadoro, rigagi yung siguro, kabungko, manadayo, rolum chorigro, ro chiner chimer, yung rigian ro, ngan charabal ngan chon wat bejin kajik, paparay an chorigro, Kacarapaluno Goragayo. Eroin arwat chimmer, Yimilo Charabalium Chivangain, et Kacharigri Kalablak Charabalium Povarai, Iberlagin Majoro Yum Island game. Elap Togin and Rotoro Poconai Loire, Everon Mutton Rolulim Povarai. Today, I leave you all with one question. If every young person is searching for somewhere to belong, what kind of community are we building for them? Because our youth are not our greatest problem, they are our greatest potential. Kumotada.
kumol mis namri ke dengan man presentation now. Cuana ke cilik kumol ke kalok tahu ni nam tayar ke mana pekuen merong kanan champion ni kata cibaru kata barinam.
Kumol kan kacitagin. The reason for my choosing of this platform is personal experiences that I've had with substance abuse. Within my family, I've seen and lost many family members due to mental health struggles as well as substance abuse. And as I said before, these two issues are interconnected. So I think early prevention before allowing youth to grow up to become the adults of our generation and struggle with these issues on their own is important, which is why I chose to highlight the youth on this issue. Amor.
Komol Miss Namrikan Wakwam. My next question is awareness and prevention are proactive and preventative measures. As you mentioned, the prevention circles. How can we address the current known issues and prevalent cases of substance abuse within our youth?
Could you repeat the question?
Awareness and preventions are proactive and preventative measures. How can we address the current known and prevalent cases of substance abuse within our youth? Prevention circles, is there any other ways that we can?
Yes. Okay. With my focus on the youth, and me being a youth myself, I can say firsthand that social media has a big influence on our day-to-day lives. And through my platform as Ms. Namruk, I would hope to share my knowledge and research, as well as collaborate with other organizations who've currently been working towards helping this issue by sharing it on social media platforms, as well as working with educators. I apologize. I think as well as social media, our youth are surrounded by academia day to day. So if you collaborate with those who are teaching them their lessons, I think it could be an easy route to inform the youth on what is the current state of this issue, as well as what can we do to move forward with it. Thank you.
Kumol Tata Ms. Namrik, you may be seated. Jamarwala John Kabuk and Ms. Namrik. At this time, if I may call upon contestant number 4, Ms. Ujai Lai Wato, Ms. Kabin Mado, Pertin Lagajon.
Yagoyalep, Edain Pertin Rojalagajon, Edan Joey Jamain, Ichirik, Ichudakan Island Go Chulu, Kubin Meadow, Ujai Lai in Wato. Irelang Pajanin Kinjuan Qatar, Nankajer, Malalego, Igichen Mejalanago, Nanjala Maigi, Joranago, Rajawalo, Jenugo Dagan Mejadoto, at climate change. Unina kele de katabarin age by climate change agugo dagin mejadoto echuanyan melichongo elaban jeled island kenar Elange cecep pepcelamay ag manje peobo. Enajalaban kawadada ngan ailung ko kacojo ilawan majalin. Armijoro ye mengo punir im manidinar.
Awe ngan komoy kacojo. Kele ani mo godada im kele rorian kele. Platform e yar kebeoje ejigi chen chet pungudan nego ranaj merong cibang na mejalan choreni ni gogotagin mejatoto. Ilo agar puebenado ipen romata imro nugu. Igar merong pekchet kalamen lakajan goair igi chen wenin talin. Imilo melele goair repere wodion chuano duwak. Ramak im remijak. Ramakin rong kana rabe majanojan chorren again ilo air bak. Majalin and I rumalak human ren. Rajujan mijak imlamanake ugogotagin mejadodo and I qualak jamalagin island chirikenar. Patap, igana ugot melele again, but ugogotagin mejadodo etchep qualak jamalagel, agit karelak kit. Nganchuan kur and animagut, ilo chuan yene auruk, and o chuan wawin manje pilboyo island ganaro one man lakage. Rudul roari lo kieneo yolap, and rudulin chugujugin berago cachojo. Right, chalabar. Right, tilijagin chudak, igichen charabal again, nganar merong na mejalan choren again. Rainin, elang pungudan nego jay kamani, ngan na mejalan choren again. Ilo kwela ko relap, imrich puk chigir, ibelagin island gainar, negotiators roar jen checho obijogo, right kadair, ngan kapyog yalin chibang, ag jenin chibang, nganar manje pyobo, akagamaman lag choren again jay yoni jen climate change. Or ugogagin mejadodo jalapur. Im aga charabale laban aurut imiganan highlight di etkin charabale go rijarabal ro ilo island kainar right kamane ngan kadayerim jibang aramit rayar. Elang ro right kajudak cholar ilo outer tab mendin meurago ilojit im chino charabale yakad mendin edrako keji meur warago im kadagin gabijugan enago igichen go kadagin mejadodo. Im kakajor chori giri roar. Puren ello wetak kenu gogodagin mejadodo. Im elang rai kajutak akalak pantu negongan kejebero gren. Ilo audar. Charabalo go gain renad. Charabalo go gain. Chakaron chip kejau jejuinan walak gogodagin mejadodo. Agailing kena rai manche pada. Ilo artul im katare charabalo gain. Emenat charabalo go gain, renat pokoto one man lako, rakar, imraman, nganej meurin island chirikenar. So ngai kajida gilo ete, ngai cemerong cibang roin, kodak imraviji island gain. Komol.
Komol Miss Cabin Metal ganjuan presentation alaban. Kacitagi na komerong ka kamelelegi eja mauruk payale beran pokona irilo kataberin eno daga yugo tagin meja dodo echele de ale roilo jugujugun per imeja mauruk ngan ke jerainin echep wadangan ro reneto galuk pechen charbale kataberin
Komol gan kacitago jala barwe uni gum chirik. Aga ngan bayo age kacitagin eno da karma pa mo kadalak ugo kadagin meja todo chuanyan melichongo elavan chele dailen genar imelanga cheche pabarai cheche manje pebo ak cheche pepchelamai ene kawoda dalangan ailengo kachojo ailengo ngajilamna kaga e ailengo ilo autor pe ngan bayo wan chongok ejeja transportation ngan che ailengo ejeja social services merong jibang ngay dongan yana gay na may alawan climate change impact ijo chigir so ngana pa nga gay egun auro ko pajen pa ello atak kenu ko takin meja todo pajen jibang ron pa jada reje chore na gain impachi bang ari me ro me service game mero gun auro nganir ay etchala ka pa access nganir im yugo ko takin meja todo etchep chelo do ari me jen majo agay chelo elbar chelo all globally it's a global issue. So the most important thing is jagaron ega echep kujau jejunenan wala climate change Agajay per manjavada. We are leading solutions gain ngan bajadare climate change. We showcase that Jagaronage, we only contribute less than 0.005% to global emissions. We want to be part of the solution. We want to be leading the world in the solutions with what we have and the resources accessible to us. Kumol.
Moldada, is a gun cabin meadow. Cabin meadow yalaber. Kabil, Iluetara, Imenogoyat Punis. Yelo, Canono Amagichin, Ugutakin Mejadodo. Yorgachet Lamana Come, Quajiligatilo platformina, Matibarbarin Catabarina, Paramaron Chibang. Laptada Choriguro. Can wine go Meramaron Chibang? But 10 pepper mine or dampa, pesel mine and Udan, Uda Mijadodo. Elabo that canagan, Iome, Rebellia Ricardo. Aram Talagan, Iome, Rebellion, Ipen Rotora, Cabelloari, Kitchen Wine.
Comoligan Gachidagin, Ilagalale, Egon Aurago Bajan, Relak, prioritize money. Before we entered the industrialization era, be sustainable in but as soon as we incorporated the or increase our usage in fossil fuel, that is what led to our demise in detriments in climate change. So we can money and climate solutions. It's what we used to do and our traditional knowledge is what was really helpful for us to sustain ourselves. Focus on the cultural aspect of navigation. Focus on sustainable, also weaving in our traditional knowledge. Element by common wagon, the importance of wagon. But how can we use that for the future? So now that we're prioritizing sustainability and going back to our roots, we are the solutions to the future. Just highlight that the youth are creative and they are who we should empower and look to navigate the climate crisis.
Komol Dada, Miss Ujai Laiwato, Miss Cabin Meadow. At this time, if I may call upon contestant number 5, Jamarong welcome to Christy Sagreas, Miss Irene Lawlap.
Yagoyalep, Elaine Christy Jagarayat, Mijailang Lawlap 2026. Pereberem katabarina ilo pejinin, dengan kalak, im kagaman malak jigan yukurek, imiyayo go anjari gerik, ngan paparai, pororo, im kajarabal, uno go rakachora. Como tala. Agua parchonalen. Yago como jalep, ngan kami jalak nan gua lo pidiyo, Elaine Christy Jagarayat, Joyo jarro jarumai, im ngayo ichudakan ailing labat. Elba uday boy marong chuda gajian rainin, im kalak cibarbarem katabarina lo pejinin. Kau day jum kamu lo liroj mogadada, eno the gay bunin menotem chej. Kele mani dewar, kele rorin clear. Im kele komoj kacojo idin imi balagan lawin. Cibarbarem katabarina lo pejinin, eje bojen kalagum kagaman malak cigenia yo guan chargiruk, nganar cibang pobarai, ak karigalak abang guan rumander enot pororo, anam gojagan meurguayer, kap carabalin munogora kajor. Ekaya rong nanin kagabilag lagin, chargiruk roar, rajili jo im jagala jawan ailangkain. Unin katabarina, ekkanagayilo ayam nalagay, Yen go ijirigum rutolak ilo ailingin, ijilo ga elugun labogodak ilo wawain meur and rumandero rainin. Ak eurago boyjen parmelele ga yabanko regioni eche perilubrin pair aganot air pailo kajine chuan, it is out of their control. Itamak pengen ajilang lak chicken gain ak safe spaces go ngan chorigruk eno chuan center ak building. Ijilame lakan ne charbal ilo elang wawain go ak multi-purpose ilo ne kacheng meneboyen chuan chigeneo ewer kaini kurego yim chigen kaminene talan go eno dar chalaga elap kabeli penchorigruk rainin. Checho anjongok ngantago renaj walo gilo chiginin. Chon chigine oramerongin kada ekanal, kada kajarbal kain kajangajangko. Chigen kaminene eje charbal guar ago mengo punir. Poejen rebejwat manit kap kabel guar chichara manak kagi. Yim barainwat wawain go chedrakar. Enaj minin kamar an reminder rain ilo ailangainad. Ilo agar campongan obi juga an jari gede kenot wam kapjo cigum. Iji loy ga ebo program goraj kamaningan kacang bar kalabala activity go an youth. Ak itamak ngaina cerwali per mualang takan kata berin. Ko ilijum cakalaj jeni cibang kalak kap kajabarok cigini kain. Cibarbarem kata berina iji tawat jen childhood memory go. Yo melang yan go pamale kamane chuan ranin movie night yum yen lelang anajriro imparainot pamale go ilo wato yo. Enot kain chugul kain charbal yum men go rajai guji ilo yumo mer. Yen radi nakar kalangan yo ewi changana na urak pa chuan ajrien perilo chuan chigna emarongin kamar an ijallaginan kamane men go racha bakar. Ilo wallangatakkan katabarin. Imilalega wawain gain raban directly solve the issue of teen pregnancy and drug use. Rather, it creates a pathway or a guide for youth to explore, express, and make healthier choices. Como altada.
Kumbol mis ailang lalo kan presentation how my long laban naman tu kan tali chep orang aja cicuyan melele bar ikanan lilang lawat kecil tegang kan pin tukun melele ilo ailang kain ya kawadan jori guru ilo island go a neighboring island go in other island chep marong tabari chicken kurege in me elgilo jori guru lo more developed islands and Bejoro Mipai, Tabari, Chicken Ikure. Ewi Wawin and Marong Kajarabal Chibarabum Katabanayam and Marong Tabar Jori Rain may Chickenoga, other island, Mary Chamarong Chabar Tabar Chicken Ikure again.
Jalapar, kumarunga par. Jalapar.
Ingai ilo island kin kawadan chori guru ro ilo other island chemarong tabar chikini kure kin me elang ilo elang chori guru kin lo majoro richa elangan chori guru kin lo majoro parai notify iba ewi wa wenam ni marong kajarabal achiwa yoram katawan na mo platform na ngana marong kat reach out ako tabar jari guru ilo island go ilo.
Okay, kumwalagan kacita ginalaban naman. Me personally, as nasailang lawalap, no dubai na collaborative pin ilang program ko organization ko. Pwede marong kaman like Jalapar. Kamane chuan kwan. Pues jen marong epola kain Korea kain program radin ngan island go iligan mejeroin. kumol. Job.
Kumol, sailing level. Ilo am laling. Iwawin an social media na telede platform na yan. Meron ka din pelegi. How do you see the role of social media impacting your cause, positive or negative?
I believe in kumal gan kaji lagi nam jala kabar. I believe in jalan. Rajang ajariro im aktor gero peren kanan itu ngan jegin gain. Jala kabar. I believe that, and I encourage the youth to be more active in these type of programs, or the programs end, but
Do you think it'll be positive or negative?
I do think it'll be positive. Kumol.
Moldana Miss Aydın Labalap. Terrain, if I may call upon contestant number 6, Miss Molalap, Kathy Piliman. Meron lala John Kapubuk.
Yawa edain Kathy Piliman, edain Joya in Ichirik, yung ngajarang ilo pejanin kanjuana katabar. Katabar in away kwalak and tagor yawalak, ngayalawa kajarabale AI ag artificial intelligence. Winina kailat katabarin, kanagailo ranagain may lablagar kajarabale generative technology ag AI tool, edin jagolak the authenticity, originality, and creativity and join army magay. Ang ini katabarawa. Kumot. Yawa parjonalin yawa kumoyale. Modata kilim kamolo liro jemero jilang kan yawa im kajabaragawan ngan kajoy kajojo. Ngan bar kwalo chirikan platform ina. I have 3 points that I will be discussing today. Wininagar kailo the platforming, the recent surge of popularity of artificial intelligence in today's context, and lastly, the cons of using generative technology. Modata jana jinoy ginan kwala jirikan the history of AI, which dates back to the early 1900s. But there are records that show it may date back even further to the times of ancient philosophers who often pondered upon the concept of free will. Because before it was generative technology, it was the endeavor to simulate human responses and autonomy. With the advancements in technology, in our everyday lives. Yung molagay minin egar ginotok pen jibang arami create ideas para inuat kamani charbalawar. But at the same time, it can be observed that artificial intelligence is being used to replace people's own thoughts, their own voices, and their own creations. Walalangan po niwagain karuo. The recent surge of popularity, especially dating now, according to an online article published by Tableau, it can be stated that AI is being used for katabargainar. Now, the recent popularity now, imarang kwala chun wan jongok, pijakan nilo Facebook meroj pumong, mikain ko me reju kwala mejer, ay chip kajit Kilenar kwala kajangan niman meja narami, nunu koji kanagi. And also, I would like to confirm that I do not have a tattoo. Lastly, my second point, the cons of using generative technology. If I had written this whole speech in English, one might have thought the disheartening irony of it that I might have used ChatGPT to write it for me. However, iloar kajabaroga kajinenar, there is no AI technology me kajin mayok. Kajininar ejmakayot. Yet, there may be attempts to make that a reality. Agajitje beper, peje tamake katabarinar equal ke your own voice, your own thoughts, and your own creativity. The things that you use to present yourself in front of people and the knowledge that you set out into the world matters more than whatever kind of technology could create those thoughts for you. Ilonano ko an ragi bubuni jan. Peran imjaba per ilo katabar ko ami. Kumwal.
Kamol Miss Malala, belugun engaging topic inam. Im relevant ngan rainin. Ewi wewe nan reo an chalai lagujan. Jibang ajuri ro boyenje brigalak kubela ko air. Ilo air chalai read. Ngeret kajarbal AI. Im tago kajuit kajojo. Marong kamane boyan labalagan ajuri reinar read.
Kumolagan kajitagin. I would like to share an experience that I've had throughout my years of school. Most of my friends would come up to me and they would ask me for ideas or advice, or just to write their essays for them. Now my argument has always been, I cannot write your essay for you because I cannot reach the thoughts in your own head. Ganod menin, I also believe that those who are educating you also matter, because with respect to one of my former English teachers, Christopher Person, he has always told us that it is imperative that you educate yourself, never stop learning, and also carry yourself with confidence. Thank you.
Kamol kan wakwam Miss Malolap. Kacida ngan kowe chen presentation am ko no dal bodam kar kwalok kan aga nana kwan AI. Kamaron ke kwalok chuan ag ro pro sak yaman ko me AI chibang. Tarong jabo dolo education aga ilo pilo ko cheta no hospital um takane chet.
Ewe ilo ka rijo jewal. According to an online article, a research summary published by Simran Singh in Law Gratis, it can be argued that AI can help with improving weather reports enhancing medical care and distribution of knowledge. I believe the pros of AI can only go so far as to aid rather than to take over what you are trying to relay, what you are trying to relay and the messages that you want people to receive from you. One.
Umoldana Miss Molalap. At this time, if I may call upon our seventh contestant, Miss Majoro, Isabel Samuel.
Hani Jamman, him Yahweh Olive, Edan Isabel Samuel, him Adan Chouya or Ejerivit. I lengo Jutokajane, him Alengo Chuta Kage, Ejailingin, Majoro. Pereverin Kataverina, Ejagan Ejamur, him Wawin Poveride and NCDs, non communicable diseases, Agnan Major Imregelat Menono, Nangan Major Imregelat Air. Kenjer yung kaptangal. Wina kelet katabarin, jangan kake memit, ke meurge na rojumar, ela beirauruk. Elang pungutan digiruk ko, him camarong pokonar, ngancuan irijum cakalajo, ine yamman, ainamman, imagajaraman. Etcamangan ro nijirim ciburuat, angan kejuwa jalib kacujo. Kumo tada, imani jin kajaraman te. Yahweh Olip. Enana Yahweh Olip. Bachir. Yahweh. Mogatata kanan kamolo lani cemero jilang. Kan meur mejmeur. Ngan kota kot melo. Klero ren clear. Rodoro alido manut. Kien kap kabungko kacujo. Cuan kene kle jonolak ngan irojum alavarin. Senator rain. Immeri now ilo ailangin. Rom rej iju pong mijuran when ngancar walagain nganailangin mejoro when wana manglak elek tada kile chajarin imle janono rain cheum chatu edan Isabel Samuel edan chuyo jiribut imailangu chuda kage en mejoro mejanarmit raini ni na ikononogan NCDs ak non-communicable diseases. Eno daru jala, nangin mejaga yang ramarong jala ro nugur, ro matar, ro revaga kut, alatada kue im kabangan. Munena noro kubajan konono gaga nangin mejagain, jangan kake meme kut, munu go imre kwalok, a causes go, imngan kwalok wewain pabaraya. Majalin elat aipulat, elat tangal. Elap cancer. Elang rom raj puromit, but they've lost a family member due to these diseases. Elang family go rajangatan, emotionally and financially. Nangan medjagayin rajab kaman kajak. It is imperative that we take them very seriously. Elaber kawadata, patap, kamolo lewin bab elang pungutan diguriko, yung George marong pokonar ngan paparayan. Cuan healthy eating. Mga model ag emantata kada kaina kadago inte kadagi ilo greenhouse or jigana kadago nabujin mogo yumar. Raw exercise. Kamolo li rojo boy ora track and field ilo pela imjiganu kore boy belagan mejeroin impar hopefully ailong kochat. Walk etter chabarot magdugut as long as ko jam magdugut kajulu chap kawadat im chabirak renin karat kain kemen elektada am jabirgada kakkalagal emmalak edalangan hospital daily bogon chaga pelga nauro bogon chala yana ko beriye
Im kon melele tagom komerong kamani ngan ejumur nayam. Ik tamak pukutan digere kain elwe raurak ngan air ni kwalongan kulan paparai kuchen NCDs, especially from losing someone that you love dearly. Ina ajlim to kunin konono gainaw kan ro koren radam jon chabada injino yon. Ime konono in wodin keme mejmenin. Eo cherin e go reyet ena ajri gan marmur. Ak eo cherin e go relang ena jalavan marmur. Chen cherin e go relang im kajbar norga ina ro chimor po elave roruk. Ido wawe nin kajro jabar kajbar ro nuwer ro nejirum chuwer aga kaya ro pa irjum chagala jorwair. Komo tada.
Como mis mejero, una man platform na am melelego.
Komo tada.
Kachita gaya, NCDs are non-communicable diseases. Ichuan nangan mi jogo lo majalin me. Yang man wajen number chuan nangan mi jo me army ripagay lo majalin. So leading cause of death in the army. What specific measures or policies would you propose to government officials to help reduce the prevalence of NCDs in our country? Orta kagiyano ko rajang ruda roar ilokian where ren merong ugot jangan corenin do eta nailang kainar ijen NCDs.
Chalo por komerong ke para riji kachedagina.
Non-communicable diseases are the leading cause of death in the RMI. What specific measures or policies would you propose the government leaders to help reduce the prevalence of NCDs? Ilomayang.
Sorry, could you be more specific?
Are there any policies that you can think of that you could suggest to government officials to help reduce NCDs like high blood pressure, diabetes? What kind of policies do you think can reduce those illnesses? Ano taga ba jab kapata tago medyo merong kamani ba army rin karigala kayar kapata nangan medyo tangal karigala an army tangal or ta kagiyan ako pwede lo kaya meron chibang lo win.
Cholok berak, eno da jarin pinang ne uaga kachidagin.
Okay.
Elang ke param kachidag.
Gimana nelangan coba pa.
Okay. Yawek.
Yawe.
Isa gani o dyan ay langin. Tapan de bak mulang imawrap platform ina. Ilam karito takam katsiyong pagmelele ko merong cibang yuk. Un malak kata barinam. Im kan kajaga rumajal kay. Yor jodoh menko me no. Yor ka kalabar bor eno to ngaji to kitchen man. Yor ka kalabar bor ko. Raywalo lo yalanam katsiyong charbalem lemalok menagain me ejilet enang kaplap tata chori gur. Me mewan me cicem merong ibenar charbali. Pamlele
Hai.
Okay. Awalot kachidugin.
Como tadagan kachidaginam, Mrs. Josepha. Eno rampa elang myo emerong pinar really important messages nga naramid iguchen nangan midagain. Aga ilo agar visit ilak office an Secretary Francine. Ewar magaduguduwam tij merong company eno have separate conversations for men and women. Pues ewar nangan mejuwam tijabak karanganan kanan kagi. Imetjab merong piroro. Pues karangan mana dagainar. Jay would call the respect. Aga ramarong jibangkit. Our male nurses, our female nurses. Juan male nurses rin ramarong kananangan ng manro. Aga female nurses rin ramarong kananangan karero. Hilo wawainin jamarong kajabarong manadagainar. Kumotata.
Wai ni lewat perjuan kaji dagai peden ni jemawa. What resources or community partnerships do you plan to utilize to expand the reach of your cause?
What resources and
Community partnerships.
Komolagan kachidaginam. A resource that I would use is, of course, social media platforms. So I know that I again, kaya ang chorigrig yung generation gorigla kajaraba social media. As someone who has a platform as Miss Mejoro, iganabar kwalok nganir if they were to follow my page and my other social media platforms, iganan kwalok nganir magadagut in kailanwa wini tongan jagame jamarong receive jibang aga jagame jamarong talum kakalagal. In for communities, as someone who's worked as a student leader in CMI, I would love to have talk sessions with the students to kaya ito ko dyan island ko kachujo. They meet in this island, pero pokar jala lagi dyan in Malala. I would like to have talk sessions with them, speaking about this platform. Kumotara.
Kumaldada, Miss Majoro. Ilotarin ng imarong call upon contestant number 8, Miss Quajalen. Marlene Steven.
Yagoy Alep, Edain Marlene Steven, Joey Errabara, Tim Katabarea, and Island in Majel, and Kakamanamala, Aka Kajabarok, Mangago Kujer, and Ilichum Chocolate. Ilo Pele about food security. Como Taba.
Yagoy Alep. Mich kabin mado ajbairi woto wujai lai ang ajbai ne antal ailangan talang ailangin kakkumugum. Iginan mo katata kilayum kamolo lanik kan plane kay nani meraluko naman ngan kajojo kilero rien kau tejer irojoro ari lo manat yung paranwat ala bero ari lo manat kilekian kieneo paranwat President Hildaine, Senator Roar, Mayor Roar, im local government. Inan kilo kumoy kachojoro rakar kobatok, ilo elegant relevant rainin. Platform ina inotakar menjenelo pituyoin, it can food security, agwawin kajabarok mga kukijer, nganiliyu im chakala jewar. Ngajiloye ke food security is a problem lo majalin rainin. Kanagay alabar relying on shipping food. Mga ko meron ito ko dyan, lalo ko meron lugo na tola ka dyan, mayalin. Yung jadian challenges ko medyo yoni lo rainin, alabalag wanen mga ko medyo kataray ito ko dyan, lalo ko tola. Jadian ito na alibian, rajataling tuyilay ito. Climate change is also a challenge ngan kajoy. Helap tata nangan medyo ko meron celete kajoy kajojo rumajal ngan wan jongok tangal. Iginan bar kakay may kajoy kajojo ka food security etjebuat can access ngan food agay alabalak ilo eje maurilo kajoy kajojo ilo ar kajabarok maniteo him kajabarok kabijugunan inar no da jalaga food security ebar celet manit. Kanagatere ko ito, jagan jab relying on shipping food. Imetjalak nangan imetere ko ito. Eno chuane o mea karlatak, rigum rutola kilo ibaya ko jalen. I see this as a big problem. Elugun etjalakin ekan lo ibaya. Helak lang mga ko metjalugun ijalingan wancongok me. Cecebuloy kanaga etjalak. Yung muna na kanono kan food security. Yung ganan par kanan kwalo kaya I see pungutan na ako medyo kamanilo majalin. Ilo ibay or greenhouse. Ilo medyo roin or organizations ko yung rajabar tibang ikityan food security. Aga it is still a problem. Yung manche pajarak. Ar wana malakotum kamanamalak ilo organization ko meron tibang kitchen food security. Vision e wao ngan tibang kitchen food security. Ngan tibang promote a healthier and more sustainable food system. Ilo tibang local farming and fishing. Support organization ko yung tibang kitchen food security. Chapote chukulu ko, im chapote government agency, jibang government agency, igiten wawinin. Ngay tamak ka partnerships, ipen youth, schools, churches, government agencies, imipen ron ngan reduce our dependence on imported foods, jamarong revive traditional food practices. For a more self-reliant Marshall Islands nga nilijum tiagla jewar. Jenwan naman lak wadim kamwan naman imtibang organization ko umrajibang kitchen food security ko moltada.
Mol Miss Kwajalen. Kumarong kay letok Juan akrowan jangok intago kojiloi remarong jibang lago taramijin kwajalen specifically ebijayan, and no dampaga kuchabelolo me, erik chiginakat ilo ebijayan. Kwit kwalok kokonan kalabalak reliance on traditional food and practices, farming and fishing. By example, one fuel leo agar jab marong tabar ibay, im jajalaga yalaban par kuncaran kain kani. Fuel, you need fuel also to cook food. So, kumarong galedo chuan agro example in Wawenan platform in marong tibang.
Komol tatagan kacita kinam. Koyo ba ruo wanjong ka jume ka jalaper. Okay. Wanjong ka nang pajuan me imarong tibang kitchen food security ilo ibay alaptata. Like I mentioned, climate change is also a problem me jalate food security. Inam even ngay jeni kachang tibang kay nakanawar, climate change is gonna affect it. So my number one initiative, pulen collaborate in climate change, come up with methods me jamarong tibang ikijen food security kay nakanago me climate change emarong jeb jalata kay nagan pulen kaman kay nakan ijalagan akan jen pura jebo jalaga soil lewar kay jebulukun aman aga alimen rani jaman ken karwo goal is to work with local government. Lo iba as a Miss Quadalen, elugung labang local government tibangayo, join mit Quadalen. It has been my goal since you got jury lagi by ngancar bali iper ikijen food security, tago me ramarong tibangayo financially, imikijen fuel, tayo me marong lale. Problem yung may ejalagan fuel, yung marong come up with a solution, ngan tibang ikichen menin. The food security. ¿Cómo estaba?
Man mich ko jalen alba man presentation now. Kacida ganan kacida we well na marong he jage mulai me achicho lo platform pen marong tabar kachuyo age group ilo jogo kachuyo marong ilo kwa jale nung para no chuchet
Komol tatagan kacida kinam. Kar plane wa ne bajaji richir rigoro kachuyo iya ga eno do kota kulene rakata. No dar chalai mala. Ngay ba jadi richirek. Plane waga plan kaman activity ko me emarong togulo me oyer ngancho ini. Yiku chen food security. Imngan kalabalak chalai lagi jana kwair. Ilo ay rotola gumloi. Imngan ba youth. You can use social media. My social media platform as a Miss Quadalen. Ngan tibang kalawatag youth rain. Kana barauragan food security. Yung tibanger para involve with organizations ko me. Hopefully nga involved. Not hopefully, I will be involved after this pageant. Yung may aligatada, tutoro kachojo. Yignan karbar kata berewa, yignan na be, ngan kalawatag rutore na be, rin tibang, para be involved. Ilo, kurubo ko kachojo. Ngan kakaman naman lak, food security nar, yung parang wadlo kapidyo ko na nakuhayar. Cibanger lala tago me ramarong kamanangan kaman kay nakanlo even mo ko mimer jala kay koyo balbim jala kilen kaman kay nakan pe eleng kilen rani kain kono soil inar aga together we can come up with a solution im cibangaron komol tala
Komol tata Miss Quadalen. Maybe sit. Marwala ba John kabubungan, Miss Quadalen?
Kailangan pwedinin kay Jonah.
If I may at this time call upon Miss Chaluj Nia Matwala to the stage.
Edain niya matuala, imedan juiel ini ciri. Modada ignan kamolo cemerilang, kenyini nalabanaman imay bojoy. Israelang pejinin, kenjuana katabar, ngan kajabarok menegin punir, imrebi kajinum madidinar. Unina kailat katabarin, kanigay menego gin pogar meor, im caraman jene. Elap tata, kuala kekej, armejin majo. Lewat ya goyam kamolo dengan komoy kajojo. Yatain ya matuala mes chalo rongo chijino. Yatain chu ya ini chiruk. Makata jana pagienin ignan nabaram kamolo chemirilang. Koi chemarong parkoba to kipendro nilo suan magadu dalap ilo salak soren. Ignan klaim kau de regagin kabungko ilo suan wat tororo. Is paranwat klaim kau de mojan go emen ilo ralik ilo chaluit. Kablitor sebeo. Lero jesta yem kieno yolap. Ya go ngan komo yolap. Alap tata ngan rijalo yoro. Meno igar kanono kage jawragin manit kamen go punir. Ya ta kaya warag menagain. Elang unin. Cek pagar meor ceni. Raj pokotok caraman ngan ailang kainar. Rai kuala kan manito yawar, rai kuala pewan adun mor kawar, pewan adun mor kawar enwal remajo. Waini rejaloj ramalele berrobung kan ame atama. Katok waini yo yemewaluk sueni. Kain komerong kaman kain cijat cene, komerong kaman curan acur. Kemudian kau jadi cene, kau kaman panonor, enre, kau kaman ke inukure. Jabar merong reka, no kau kaman purum cene, len kau jirak akamangan. Ya udah lah len imuaini. Kau buki mati di, ngan kaman tala, kau sepawat ame mama. Esalak kau bejilo iloni. Parain echala ko bijiloni punir cecaraman kage cen kajabarok yumpul katake cen waini tabola rai kaman pinnep job krijin kamat imengo yerlakot menegain reberilo imun uyago im reber jagal lalin wam et kaman table ranage imwago wan majal Jen me luguet yimen go chet punir. Wagin war recep katon loje di meja toto. Rajalan ailang ko chet rajalan an ailang ko chet magdut yimpi go tai ko air. Halele ko ala kaga pebana do ailang kainar. Iro jorowar yimara me joro. Ijo ko kaina kayan reloto ko rojen chicken reloto ko rojen chicken Cibaragi itu. Engin munyar mani tayawar, imenagain punir, right pokotok caraman ngan ailang kainar. Kajene manit. Awala kilo ya tayar. Right kajabarok kajene manit gowar. Emo jair kaman tekjine reo ilo online. Ewarai radio program ngan kuala kan melelin nan ko jadi kacita kagi. Right kamelele caban kan nan ko kiyo ilo nuit pe bayo. Rai par kuala nan ko rajecet yim cimwe nganar kajar bali. Kaji nej kuala wan kej. Aurang nganar rabit yim kajabaro riami manoro. Taga waini ni ro. Rai kuan mala menegain bener. Cara balongan payer rai. Cara balongan payer rai menin payawenado. Mene karun turin mejer, kapoy aiguj wan pamali. Engin munyar pa, mene kain punir cek pagar meur ceni. Rakaja baro kar mejer reinar, rakaja barok calaper, rakaja barok ailenginar. Kocapay ko jatalangan. Ijako rotolak ngan bigon menegain. Redber ina muji ni mayo. Ngan kajamalak nan gaina. A wise man told me, sustainability tamele lane. Elanga kwai toga ke, tumui, jage, yung pagay nganaigi, leme, akjuan charbal kage, kamane juan men, jongan aneman, impen ena toan per, ngan yeneo ebar jabar, im chutak, meneo kwar, pagjene. Komol tada.
Komol dada, Miss Chalud. Meno punir elaban de babak. Jamarong kanonogan mengo chalui. A jamarong kanonogan mengo chalui. Yorgayam katabara lamanak incer bali pencori guru. Kaciong aini oleven mengo chalui makabel goar. Meridan jago. Bawat kajarbal preservation. Ano kayo baruhi? Ilawar. Dan nana rujong ba citaram kabel. Jon programan citaram kabel ngan olem menengin merah jagolok. Ila kong agar japello ami pitok penci bumi mami. Emang cita coni nuayawen ngan am cino kami orang menengin. Imcar Pelun laber aur, lab meleleyer, right kalo kan kit, rumajal. Iba lewa jot, John kacitak, poguman kamane, John lamanak, poguman pagay bayin mayami lami, tutolakum ilium chagalat. Komol.
Komol tatagan kacitak inalaban naman. Eno chuaneo agar kanan pokonanem kanonogan menegin punir. Chuan wan jongok wagin war. Eri kelakar kajarabal wagin war aja kajarabal lawan kami me. Jadi wiji ngagim kanik kiat. Wagani war me war magi. Komorong kelaja komi ot kota bara ilang awam. Yo kacap kanik kiat ini. Calak ba. Oh orang lihat wanen kiat aja boleh jen talum kanik wanen kiat. Koko mane, kuala me, koko light komot, kota bara ilang awam. Komol tata.
Komol Miss Chalud juga wagaw. Wada. Apa naman? Kacita ka elik tata Jadi tayo kar kaman pokon ello wedak yum igrele lim kairat cibar barum katabarinam
Komol tata kan kacita kainam menu ela bumi karel kagilo platformin et kan men kain penir enot archale kan men kain penir ka ela bar charaman kagi Akcore ne onege erigar kajarapali. Komol tada.
Komol nada, Miss Chalud, you may be seated. Jamarong balakot kapubok ngan Miss Chalud. At this time, if I may call upon our 10th contestant, Miss Wache, Crystal Langbada.
Ya koe edain Crystal Langbada, edan cuyo wa geje roja, yim ngai cuda kan ailingin Wache atso. Cibarbarin katabarin ag education justice ngan ailing gainat. Munina kailat katabarin, eyangan langit malale ko yim charbal ko ichen yimana ka jadawan ilo ailing gainat. Komol tada.
Esamin ko pang nagay slot and ko with the miss.
Ya ko mo kadada. Claim kamolo lani chemirilang kan John rana ibojoy. Ikanan baka yan kile rorien clear ilo manit ilo kienyo yolap local government ko kachojo yum parenwal manjaro ko. Kile Jajara ini manim kayawat kacojo ilo anmin. Etain kerita lang bata. Etan cuyo ini roja. Yum ngai your Miss Wache 2026. Cibarparin kata berina ejikan justice awareness ngan ailang kainar. Ikar kailat kata berin ngan langaj malalay ko ikichen service ak carbal ko ilo man akajadinar ilo ailang kainar akakayar pa courthouse. Enot tuan assistant clerk ilo kode war, ilo Eric an armij malala kan charbal go ye. Imerik an armij malala kan tuan basic legal rights aga chimoy marong an tuan armij. Ruo kan court access. Ewi wawin ana yalin jibang an armij. Yum chilu kan eliminan kode charbal. Tuan wan jongok kan cimoy marong kuan tuan armij. Eoran tuan armij cimoy marong in kapugan attorney aga lawyer aga counselor. Yung elemen anit kapugan attorney ngayon marongan afforde lawyerinan. Kindi wala tangan po ina arkain karwa which is court access aga yalin jibang ngayon court. Ewe nga kumakarchaji ewa legal charabit aga ngay chab ewa legal aid faneo aga chuan chenin chibangayo me kode chibang arimit kapok hire attorney nim kalagi parain water ilo wawinan kodin charabal ewa lalem kodo ko human kodo jinar yum kajang cepar malala elemen an koda kain lalem charabal eni jawi wawinar langajim kajere malala kain itama ke charabe kain ak charabal kain rajay ku jajere imejado do ilo social media platform ko enot Facebook Instagram kap TikTok minigin ralugun popular yum parainwat radio station ko en parainwat lalo ilo curriculum yo an chugul ko pa ilo kaya orang nganajri ro agrujugur ro nganer melala pa ilo ay najru tolak rancala kan chimwe imarong ko air im parainwat beren cala kan tayo ni walo giman yumi tamak im kaya diri kaya lang na jala bala arwaj melala kan wawin an charabal kain pag chigir inna mena jala bala arwaj koda karon kap kait paro karon ilo chimay tilijak imol komol tada ahora que kachidak
mol Miss Wache ako yung majam kualok ajam aura ko pe kejuwit remaja lencale ogo dagin charabal ko ilo raina kajaten Agano Joan assistant clerk, komarong kay par kamelele tao ragin klakaro, yung charabalago kachojo kumit kamani, we enot ilo anarmid marong melele, rajalo kumlo buntagan, kumi stamp kain gain. Ako komarong kay kamelele ko charabalago chada may armid ramarong jabaloi may kumit kamani.
Kumual tada kan kachidagin naman. Ako enot Joan clerk, kami ang atip charabalilo. Lo anu video me kumi la relang tongan ko de ko kumi lo armi rojan kami paren wat cerba lo an ko de room ko eno chedrom right hugo jen kajin pelle kajin majal im jej paren wat cerba li pen lawyer ro ngai defense lawyer aga petitioner lawyer ro eno kait meje jen lawyer ro ngan chajaro im jej karelang kai nodare public nodare yum elang par kain charabal ko ti parti bang aremit enoda karbar pa legal aid fanen kat kulogro rej parti bang aremit ro merong kalay wanen lawyer ko ayar mret pukoti yum kalagaro ra yare mi ro me nga ko jay ku cibang igi cen kot igi cen abonana aga mo jono ko am ko talipen kalagaro per ero ra cibang yok ken abonana ko am yum lela me yi kan yam ngan jajaro ka lawyer ro wet mol
Kumol, Miss Watje. Kachitagaya ba? Jibang tao community partnership rato kani merong kajarwali lo cibar-barim katabar maya.
Kumol tada kan kachitagana. As I mentioned, agar cibit ijibakan social media boleh kun popular. Yung radio station yang ngejap 103.5 baka pijaban ibi yung para inuat ngana ba ajri chiri ro me inoda karbain lolo ilo curriculum ini kay jaman kaman cuan pok me ngana ba kila jaman lalem jaman kaman cuan pok emerong ceje chiri pajak basic ngana air merong cino melelekan tajar balakan yan kot yung para inuat ilo inoda ngajuan Youth Prodigen, ekijang war hedan Olive Summer rekijang kaman conference. Him jamanong para ino tal kelagaro ramanong partalim kelak or judges ramanong talim kanangan youth room kamang lagir ikicen cara balagainan kot. Him ebar pelak ko dengan ami dokum jika jula ka appointment me court visit ngan Olive Rujugo. Kumwal.
Kumpul nada Miss Watje. Cuma bala lucuan kabubuk ngan Miss Watje. You know, Doreen, at this time, if I may call upon our 11th contestant, Miss Arnoyado, Ataza Lakay.
Yago alab edain hadasha kuno Katarina leka Miss Anno rongo jidina. Unena kanan pok kana lo paginin ejingana kwala problem in wino ro regajor. Yo imejelet jirong imlagaro nijana ilunke. Igar kele melejongin kanaga igar loyan jela jawru gurugin majo. Jawru gurugro rajiliju im jarjoan majo. Jije pai kuch kadala kair pugui wino kein im kakureya irmo. Pailang kain rajai ko jier, ngan lolor jaga cuan majo ewe jaraman. Yagai alap mogadada kale im kamolo lani, kanmor imejmor iberwat kajojo. Kale manereo, kaineo, kajojo local government im kabun ko im alap aramejim majo. Elaptada leroj elperpoas. Irotro matan leadership yo im all of Aramajanano. I have a relative who growing up shined as bright as the sun to me. Everywhere he went, he brought warmth with his smile, laughter, jokes, and his full heart. And one day his light began to fade. Substance changed the way he thought of himself, of other people, and of the belief and his own future. At that time, what I felt was anger. But when I watched him surrender his life to God, get baptized, and change completely and break free from his addiction, I realized it wasn't anger that I felt, but grief. Grief for someone we could have lost, and grief for every family in our nation who's familiar with this same pain. I have the privilege of meeting with various offices, namely the Marshall Islands Police Department, alongside with Youth to Youth in Health, Behavioral Health Department with our Ministry of Health and Human Services, as well as the, and Marshall Islands Epidemiology Prevention Initiatives. ONS shared their policy work and the growing threat of illicit drugs in our country, and how the National Security Task Force involves stakeholders such as MIPD and the Sea Patrol to help combat this issue. MIPD also shared that they received approximately 4 calls in relation to drug each week in Medjugorje, while alcohol continues to account for an increase of greater number for substance-related cases. Dr. Holden and his team describe substance abuse as psychological pain, or psych pain, a pain that you can't see physically, but rather a pain that's deep and emotional with mental distress. Oftentimes, substance abuse is seen as a problem, but it can also be a symptom. Behind destructive choices lies loneliness, anxiety, and brokenness. And rather than asking what's wrong with them, I hope that we can start asking what happened to them. Youth to Youth in Health shared that our culture limits difficult conversations between parents and children. And their organization provides a safe space where youth can speak openly, ask difficult questions, and even ask for guidance without fear or judgment. Because sometimes being heard can be the first step towards healing. Finally, in 2024, Rapid Youth Survey conducted by MIEPI found that, as Ms. Namarik also mentioned, 43% of our high school students are reported to use e-cigarettes or vapes in 2024. In comparison, in 2022, it was only 8%. Furthermore, almost 40% of students in Medjugorje reported experiencing prolonged sadness or hopelessness. And 1 in 5 students seriously considered suicide. This doesn't show that people are failing. It shows that people are hurting. And they deserve more than judgment. They deserve ears willing to listen, eyes willing to notice, minds willing to understand, and hearts willing to break and walk alongside with their healing journey. Although each organization I met approached the issue of substance abuse from a different perspective, they all offered the same message. Community involvement is a non-negotiable. Law can enforce, health professionals can treat, organizations can educate, but lasting change can only happen when the community rises together. It begins with parents and children having these difficult conversations, teachers noticing struggling students, churches offering hope, friends keeping each other accountable and advocating for each other, fostering safe spaces to openly share their stories, and communities choosing compassion over condemnation. That is why my platform is not simply about fighting substance abuse, it's about preventing it before it becomes someone's reality. Just like the stars that guided our ancestors in the darkness of the Pacific Ocean, we too must take our place to be the guiding lights for those who are lost and hurting in the darkness of today's world. A stronger Marshall Islands is not built by the people we save tomorrow, but by the conversations we have, the actions we take, and the compassion we show, along with the hope that we give today. Comentada.
Komol Miss Arno kan join presentation no yaman. Kachitagal ejapayanodin. What do you think is the most effective way to reach young people before they encounter substance abuse rather than after?
Thank you so much for your question. You know, I believe that kids are very special. Our youth is they have so much potential in them. And we actually got to meet with early childhood development. And they shared how even during the pregnancy, up until the second year, that's about 80% of their brains being developed. And so we're not raising kids to be kids, we're raising them to be adults, we're raising them to be our future. And it also starts when they are very young, even in the womb of our mothers. And as I mentioned in my speech, it's a community effort. Our laws can enforce as much as they can, and our teachers can educate. But the reality is, in our days, we spend our times at home, at work, at school, and with each other. We're always going to be connected with each other. And the way that we raise up our kids and raise up each other is one way in which I believe can help us grow.
Thank you, Ms. Arno. John President, the one. What's a misconception people have about your cause?
Yes, thank you so much. Well, one of the misconceptions is that people believe that substance abuse only implies the ones that are illegal. It's also the ones that we see often, such as alcohol, cigarettes, even vape for some of us that aren't in Mahjong prior to the ban. These are misconceptions as well. It's when we start to overuse things to a point that it starts to hurt us and starts to play with the way that we think of ourselves and other people. And I apologize, before I go, there was one thing I did want to say for all those who are victims of substance misuse. Whatever that may be, vaping, marijuana, alcohol, cocaine, propane, cigarettes, or whatever it is, if you are someone who aspires to stop, I hope it's today. And if not, I hope these words will encourage you. There's a pastor, his name is Craig Rochelle, and he's actually the Life Church founding and senior pastor. And if you're familiar with the YouVersion Bible app, his church is actually the one that founded that. And he says, it's not what you do occasionally that makes you a great leader, it's what you do consistently. So whether you fail when you try, I hope that you still stand back up every single day. And in the Word of God, Proverbs 24:16, it also says, for a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again. You're not a righteous person because you didn't fall. You're a righteous person because when you did, you got back up. So I hope that in the same manners as when we were kids, as when we were babies and infants, learning our first steps, I hope we can be as determined, even as stubborn as we were. And that when we fall and when we fail, we once again allow ourselves to get back up. Don't stay on that ground. Jaragakwat.
Moldada, Miss Arno. If I may, at this time, call upon our 12th contestant, Miss Namo Atoll, Farah Mullah.
Yahweh, Kamolo Lanich, Tadain Pera Nella Mular, Imidan Joina Edraur, Ngai Join Chirowin, Island Namo. Ipopona Ilo Paginin, Nanchibang Langai Katabargo, and Kalaman Mala Waywingo, Rajalat, Kalamalagijan, Im Lamanako Anatomies at Mental Health, Komol Tada.
Yahweh como Jaleb, Kilem Kamolo Lanich, Can Mur Majmur, Ilo Kajuj Kajojo, Komolgan John Ranaman Gabaurok, Kilem Manadeo, Eroid Gabale Rojaro, Kilegiano Yolap, Cabro Rayan Kiler, Kileala Parmijin Parmadel. Ipokona Ilo Paginin, Canunin, Im kattabarin ngan jibang langai kattabargo ngan kaman malak wayawain go rajalet kalaman lagi jan lamala kawan arami ak mental health. Kaman otak ngan ro rajalemai abang go enot kacirere nanin kajogo nanin panai go jen public. As someone who has experienced bullying and shame growing up, I know firsthand that words have the power to hurt, but they also have the power to heal. Mental health affects every individual regardless of age or background, yet many people continue to suffer in silence because they fear being judged, criticized, or misunderstood. Here in the Marshall Islands, stigma surrounding mental health often prevents people from reaching out for help. Bullying has become a growing concern both online and in person. Social media has made it easier for hurtful comments and public criticism to spread quickly. While bullying continues to affect our schools, workplaces, and communities. This saddens me because although we may not be one of the richest countries in the world, we are rich in community. Ilo manidinad, jijalaleron, yagoyron, imkauderon. Those values should be reflected in how we treat one another. This platform is deeply personal because I as a child, experienced bullying myself. And there were moments when words made me question my confidence and self-worth. Those experiences inspired me to pursue a bachelor's degree in psychology, where I hope to become an advocate for mental health here, and a vessel of resource and hope, and help create safe spaces where people feel heard, valued, and supported. Over the past few weeks, I've also been volunteering at the Mental and Behavioral Health Center, also known as the Yagwe Ward, where I had the privilege of listening to patients' stories, and many have whom experienced bullying, rejection, or public shaming because of the stigma surrounding mental illness. Their courage has strengthened my commitment to this advocacy. If I become Miss Marshall Islands, I hope to partner with schools, healthcare providers, youth organizations, and community leaders to strengthen anti-bullying efforts, promote mental health education, and encourage open conversations so that no one feels ashamed to ask for help. I believe everyone can be a part of the solution, and we all have the power to create a culture of kindness, respect, and understanding. The kindest words we choose today can save someone's tomorrow. And I want to remind everyone that mental health isn't only about treating illness or physical health or mental health, but it is also about how we treat each other, because kindness is mental health. Mental health is kindness. Kumol tada kanami wajgar ko badok. Kumol tada elep.
Komol Miss Namo and John presentation of man. Kachitaga ngan wait, walok and within. Social media has given everyone a voice, but it has also become one of the biggest platforms for bullying and public shaming. How do you think it is affecting the mental well-being of young people in our community? And what would you do about it?
Well, I believe that social media can be both one of the greatest challenges, but also the greatest solutions. It's very important how we use it, because for social media, it's very easy to spread hurtful words and spread negativity. But I believe if we switch direction, we can use it for positivity, to educate people, to promote mental health and resources, and to connect one another and uplift each other. And if I were to use my platform as Miss Marshall Islands, I would use social media to promote just that: kindness, empathy, compassion. Kumultada.
All Miss Namo. Kan presentation naman lubunya man. Ila jangan to kayu ye rido rida gamlo. Army rin me jangan jono nanje kajar walanganir pui me ilkun enot kanini. em Jonin Wawinar, Chopko de Jer, Iluaria Melele, Kain, Nangan Mijin, Rojake. Yorgalo platform, Ewi Wawin, Elanka initiative, Ngana Marong, and it promote the embrace awareness and Army Baran Melele and Nangan Mijin and Rain Me. Your Lidawin Kalmalojan Pale.
Kumoltada kan cumar kacu toko amiro. But I could volunteer lo mental health ward and I yeah lo an aramid really pajan ranchan. And it saddens me to see that they're just people struggling. They didn't choose to be there, but they ended up there. And I want to remind everyone that these are also humans with feelings, with hearts. Like I said, we are very rich in community, and that goes for our patients as well and people struggling. And what I would do to promote that and to spread awareness, thank you. I would want to use that to remind everyone that kindness goes to each and every one of us, especially our patients and people who struggle with mental health and conditions. Kumoltada. There's so much I want to say, but I'll keep it brief. Imiganan bar Rajang Olip, the Yoga Ward exists and people with mental health conditions exist as well. Imilo agar volunteer. Yaja both volunteer by igar yaja par kanan volunteer kanave on platform udin aga igar kanan connect with them, see what I can do for them. And as a psychology student, I want to be able to better understand our people and how we can help them. And I also would like to emphasize and show that helping people goes a long way. And we may have heard the term, it takes $0 to be kind. And like you've said, we've seen it on the streets. Edwalo man meder, agatitip ka manolap kain. Yung ngay, iganan panganolap bag, ngay wajalo kain ni nagay jojum cibang aramidiam. Jojum ko tagayor. Cibang ilo way na ko man. Kumoltada.
Meron lapar John Kapubok ngan Miss Namo. Yawe, ilot the rain. We have come to our 13th and last contestant for today. If I may welcome Miss Aur to the stage, Atasa Jonathan.
Yagoyolib yung kamolori road. Edain Adaja Jonathan yung Chawiyawal Ejeroja. Yung ngay Miss Aur 2026. Winning kanono yawain ngan support ejmerur yung kalmalagjan ag mental health ngan chirongoro chargiro yung community go ngan join iliju yoemman. Edaga ya kelo platformin itamanga boy ngay meurinar ewa meurulak inemlalinar eni ewa meurur. Ani jeng kejaraman ay lengkinar.
Yago kamolo liroid. Perilo aun kaudit. Imogada jena jino kanonogan kata bergina. Komerong ke rewo ngan armi jernai turum smile ake terung irig yawegi im kacitok ejeda meur. Lo kaudis. Come on. Ako mo dyan na buenit math timer yaw. Come on. Ako raini ni kanan kanano kan ejmeur in kalmel la kajan. Ag mental health ilo majalin. Eda kay lukun aurog boy en lablagar kada ganim melele kanono yum karong charigiro einod matan wan mala ko raurog ilo ejmeur ilo ailang kainar. Ilang aramed ilo ailang chirik kainar jiyon erorogo einod stress, anxiety, depression, yum trauma and silence. Errorogain rajwalong ngay chepaya raiguit chep charabal abang ko iloan pamileo ar kajarbal wino ko ragajur ine bada ko ken ugok tagin mejatodo yim kan tago rar walok mogotalak enot kamelmelin pamgo iman arme kar magat chenchogo chigir kalmang lagajanagake. Do you know someone who went through their hell, their hardest downfall? I had a brother, or for me personally, I would love to say we had a brother. A brother not only to our family, but to so many people. He was a brother to our church, our friends. If you knew him, you knew his smile. He was the kind of person who could light up a room and make people laugh. We thought he was okay. Behind that smile, he was carrying a battle that many of us never saw. He was struggling with pain that was far deeper than anyone could have imagined. We looked at this smile, you assume he was the happiest person he could ever be. We mistook what we could see on the outside for what he was feeling on the inside. Looking back, I often think about the questions we never asked. Are you okay? We assume those questions didn't need to be asked because he always seemed so full of joy. But sometimes the people who smile the brightest are the ones carrying the heaviest burdens. And his story reminds me that mental health doesn't always have a face. Pain doesn't always have tears. And that sometimes it looks like a smile. Sometimes it looks like the person who encourages everyone else while silently fighting their own battles. What we thought was a question that didn't need to be asked may have been the very question that could have saved and changed everything. So be intentional. Check in on the people you love. Ask them the deeper question. Listen without judgment. But komerong save Juan Meur and Juan Aramid. We're known as Aramidin Jod, Aramidin Yagoy, Imaramidin Kaudit. Tijayguit karigalagarlo majanogoan rotjat. Echep chon menin kachogok ngan pagtibang ikitien nangan medin air im kamilid ak stigmatized mental health. Kalabalakar melelagan ejmeurun kalmalagjan im kalabalak tibang ko ngan ro rejayguit tibang ikitien nangan medin. Jugologo rejarobali ejmeurro kajilo jugujugum pereo. Kabungko im agency ak ragoan kien ewar konar ngan tibang kagamarmalag ejmeur elaptada ailang kainar. Como tada.
Como misar anyone in one platform na presentation na yan. Yung program ko jam laman lagi ko merong rajang Ministry of Health wherein merong jibang mental health kakajolak jibang ko ngan mental health patient rad.
I believe we have so many beautiful programs, so many organizations may recommend charabalagain already. And I believe that where we really need to start is our home. And how our family nurtures one child or how one family grows their child. And I just believe that we have so many great platforms, so many great opportunities. I want to create a podcast or like Juanyan interview and like a campaign join yen testimony, but I feel like everybody should share their story of how they overcome, how they challenged mental health. But iloa karaba people rejo kage, rejmejagin kapok tibang. But we're all human. We all go through emotions, like my sister said. We all did yon menogoripin. We're human. This is normal, and I wanna make that. I wanna showcase that. Who are we to be perfect if we don't go through the hardest things? Come on.
Mol Misaur. You mentioned stress, and many people use the word brain drain for our society. There's so many people, or so few people in Majel doing so much work. For example, a lot of the KIO members are full-time workers while putting on this pageant. Can you share a word of advice to our leaders on how they can uplift their workers in a way that shows that they are appreciated in what is a lot of times thankless work as a public servant?
What I grabbed from all my interviews and yumalip jojigun yartalum yonir was 1 ounce of prevention is better than 5 ounces of treatment. I believe puetin tamago dilo ani legeo dilo ani jim cheboy per como tata.
Kumol nada Miss Aur. Marabalo John kapubongan Miss Aur. Perjuangan semarwala la pujin kapubongan. Lejaga na rain kap. Nair merong karbotok platform wire cibar-barem katabar wire kemile lagi ngan kajuit. Imcu dagin man ngan wagi kacida kenjen cajerinar kacuju. Ilo terrain ngai merong invite kajuit kacuju iloan cajerar kemana final reflection skenair. Ngai merong rimantangan screen man bajen leto cuan video digrik ngan kajuit. Ilo alun relevan raini. Ilawan cajerin kemana final reflection skenario. Kumola. My pretty island girl, would you swim my way? My pretty island queen, would you swim my way? She's from the Polynesian, Melanesian, Micro Island.
Lord Jemen in Netting in Feto Pojacha. I am Jesus Christ. In Yahweh Omanit. In Melata Yoan Feto Pojacha. And that is the me.
May this event brings respect to our young people and unites us together. May this event helps the young people today to recognize and acknowledge their gifts and talents, given by God, in order to save the common good of humankind.
Pretty and queen.
Komoldada, for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. Nge imarang bar eligi par rie kan lejakan rain kan air marang chuda gijin manam iman mejerut kajuju iman mejen lalin kajuju olip for their bravery, dedication, leadership. Kan air marang kualongan ke kata baragain air cibar barim kata baragain air rabel lokal malang jangan air nge imarang claim code Eurorian clear. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our sponsors, our partners, our collaborators. Pay marang continue this journey. Support on all uplifts not only this event, but also the dreams of and voices of our young women. Komoldada ngana wale brora bokonair. Nge chemarong yalok chuan kile kaudej acknowledge mij majala areng nge marong chudak Clara Changam. We ejab arjuan reino ilungan emman walibim melele kake jich nabar kamolo legan olivin jarbalwan mandak tingi lidok transfer crowning dong ajunya lejigan rain rajberi jini man rain. At this time, if I may call upon all our contestants, judges, and organizations to join us for a group photo. Marong kaji deben oleh lejeng negara rain, marong cudak, oleh ben judge rain, imrot logger, organizer ro, marong join izin man, ngan join group photo. Mololeb ngaja marong jijet. Ya wai. Emejar pungudok ada na tunlok chamalogin program inareng. Jijetin kajamaloga ilo elegant relevant raini. As we come to the close of today's program, we extend our sincere appreciation to everyone who joined us here at the Maya Malele Room. To our judges, Kumodala, contestants, our organizers, sponsors, thank you for your presence, your energy, and your commitment. And to every one of us today that came to witness today, Kumkano Yilukun Emol. Today was about more than competition, was more than competition. It was about voice, purpose, and leadership. We look forward to Yere Malawat. Katamanega Cheni Yon Kum, next main event, which is the talent night. Yoimane Kaman running Thursday, this Thursday, July 9th. Aga July Radam Yon at the Marshall Islands High School campus. Nge ngan kila ngay marong kirdok by may call upon Ragagi Ambre Jonathan. Ngay marong one mandak yung kilian ni naruit kenchar.
Yahweh ngan alip kilem kaudej alip rorian kile kaudej. Chenjar, let's pray. Roj kemij nabaram kamolole ko ani jilo relevant rainin. Kamolole ko kanjonian aurek kemij ko wadok ipenjurong rain chenai lengkein. Kan kamane jonian kakajur ay lengkein. Kalikar aibo George ewa manage. Kalikar George miyago ewa melap. Ilo miyor guam. Kemit kamolo leok ken ailen kein kemit kamolo leok ken telewam. Ilo am jeb ligijab. Ilo am kejaraman kem ilo elang wawen. Ilo am kejabarok kem. Ilo am cebang kem miroj. Elang challenge ko ro walak chenian nganian. Agame jilo bem yakajur. Eldan bem anij M1 imioleo. Yon ailen kain. Moda janam magat chenijin. Kanan perjonalan rewas nganiuk. Kamolal kenyanin. And I pray and ask for your blessing. Kejaram manewam. Yon kajuju family rinrar ko badok. Charwalin and Miss Majal. Yon bagjikin ilo wigin. Kajite kantelewam. Kajaram manewam. Kajaram man olive rain. Rajlulur jage. Charwalagain ramman. Kajaram man ailang kainam. Ilo than Jesus. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our program today. Parjonalan Kumgano Jemol. Yam ngay marong kajite penwar olip romen lejikan kan rain kap. Judge rain are ngay marong yam organizer ro. Ngay marong tongani je manam manajon aro group photo ipendon. Parjonalan jamarwale ala jon kapo mo kay lunch ngan lejikan kan rain. Kumkano Jemol lejikan kan platform ko amiyang katabarom si parabarim katabarom ko amiyang. Kami nyaro alut melele kali. Yang jujur malangan rano ko recep toyen kia. Yang jani jiloya air lupun carwai. Kemarin lapar pujin kapobongan jajarin areng. Kumol tata jajaran. Alabami kanu Jemol. Ngan organizing kami dio. Rain merar. Kaman ba yeni nenjon yeno alaban ay bujud. Kumkano Jemol lokum kapcharaman.